family. Welcome to Soul Feng Shui. This is our very first episode, and today with us we have got my dear friend Bruna. Bruna is a high priestess, spiritual counselor, hypnotherapist, and tarot therapist. With that, we are going to be talking about the current energies affecting us and the planet, and how we can become more resilient as well as look after our energies. Without further ado, welcome Bruna. Would you like to perhaps just introduce yourself and let everyone know how we met?
So, hi, I'm Bruna, as Luz just introduced me. Thank you very much for inviting me to your show. It's an honor to be here. Me and Luz, we met during a course, holistic healing course, spiritual counseling and hypnotherapy, by the way. And it was a very nice meeting. We met actually in the end of the course, but since then, we knew we were friends. It was great. And from then, we knew that we had to do like a project together because we had such a connection. We both speak Portuguese. We both were connected to the art and design world. Luz as a fashion designer, and me as an artist at the time. Well, at the time, still, but more focused. And that's it. It was really nice. We always knew we wanted to do something together, and this is our first project together.
Yes, that is very true. And also, I have to say that every time we meet, I do feel that there is a really nice connection. And I always have really interesting conversations with you. And that's why I thought, actually, the last, well, not really the last, but maybe the last before the last, the one before the last conversation we had, I thought it was really interesting, and it really inspired me a lot. So I thought, I think we should really record these and have not the same conversation, because obviously it's impossible to have the same conversation again, even if you try, but just to bring some of the subjects that we were talking about before, and to record it and then to offer to other people so that they are also able to listen, and to join our chat as well, in a way, to feel that they are joining our chat, because I do feel that a lot of people, they might benefit from it, from just listening to some of the things that Bruna has to say, and hopefully as well some of the things that I have to say. So yes, again, Bruna, welcome. And it's been really nice so far to meet you. And, I just have to say that I'm really looking forward to many more conversations like this one together. So,
Thank you,
so,
Luz.
so to start with, just going to start about the conversation we actually had before, that I really wanted to bring to the table again, is in regards to the current times, and what we are experiencing as a collective, what's going on in the world. There is a pandemic going on, there is elections and a lot of manifestations going on. I mean, that on top of all of the other things that been going on for many, many years. So 2020 has been really challenging here for many of us, as a whole, really, as a collective. So Bruna, is there anything that perhaps you would like to talk about it, from your own perception of things?
Okay, so yes, I think we are in a very confusing moment for lots of people, but we are also in a big transition, on a planetary transition. Um, we know that each 26,000 years, Earth changes its magnetic pulse. And by this time, we are passing through one of those 26,000 years. And there is a shift on the sun and how much sun it enters on the planet. With this sun entering more, our energy is actually being raised more, which makes the things that were just lurking in the shadows to come into surface. So what is happening right now with all these confusions, it's nothing that was not really happening before. The difference, what is happening is that everything is coming into surface, and then it's easier to see. And when people are actually seeing what is happening, we become alarmed, because it's actually alarming how we cope and agreed on the way we've been dealing with life on the planet, like totally disregarding nature, animals, and then we have all like women, BIPOC people, the LGBTQ plus. So we all felt really repressed in many ways living in society. Animals are still being very repressed, nature, and we are not really valuing life. So I think that what's happening now with the COVID, with the manifestations, with elections, like, who is the worst, really? Is the question, in my opinion. Like, I don't know. So everything, like, nothing is really right. And I think that right now we're having an opportunity to actually see what was lurking in the shadows and take an action. So I see there's a transformation to the planet, to ourselves, to everything, because Mother Earth itself is changing. Later, if you want, I can send you a link to put below, so people can also see like some natural events that are happening right now, because the news are not reporting it, and it's happening all around the globe. It's actually quite alarming, but nobody's really talking about it. But instead, we're still talking about things that are not important and really like sad, because our lives have changed because of the COVID, and we're still not doing much. So because of our culture, our cultural limits. So what I see now is that the planet, nature, Mother Earth, Father Cosmos, wherever, is bringing us a chance to look what is lurking in the shadows, and to look inside as well, and and grow, ascend, and once for all, we change the way we deal with each other, how we deal with nature, how we deal with animals, how we deal with anything. All the living beings, they're very important, and we're not really looking after them. So I believe that this is what's happening, Luz, right now.
Yes, it's a lot of changes, and it feels quite confusing sometimes. Like you said, you just made a really good point that most of the things that we are seeing this year, that we are quite perplexed, they have always been there, but they have never really came to the surface. And for some reason this year that's happening is coming to the surface. But I guess you as a for example, as a spiritual counselor, hypnotherapist, and myself as well, a holistic counselor and hypnotherapist, we do have the experience the same, and I can do the analogy with when treating people, and if they are feeling depressed, or if there is something that is not going well in their life, either physically or mentally, um, we need to go to the root of the problem to really, for the person to actually heal. And I feel that in a way, the Earth, the planet Earth, and the collective is kind of healing, because it's really going to the root of the problem and bringing up. So that's what you do when you're doing a work with a client. You bring those things up, obviously in a gentle way, but you have to bring those things up so that you can heal them, and then you can move on. And it feels that way as well. It does feel that way, that we're going to the collective shadow and bringing them up, and hopefully we are going to be able to heal that, heal those parts as well.
I think we're doing that.
Mm.
I think we are all healing parts, even though when it doesn't look like we're healing parts, then they're like terrible moments. It's actually an opportunity to face that problem on ourselves. So that's it, Luz. Perfect. I think Mother Earth is healing too.
And I mean, I'm not going to lie, I was really concerned in the beginning. I was really worried, and I was feeling quite negative as well, just because I just felt that, you know, there was, and that's what actually when I had the conversation with you on the phone, because I was feeling quite concerned. I don't know if I mentioned I was feeling really concerned, but I was. And, you know, you gave me a kind of a different perspective, and I was like, oh, okay, that's quite interesting. And then I start seeing things in a different way. But I mean, I think my main concern is not so much about the virus, to be honest.
Sure.
Not that I don't think is dangerous. I do think, yes,
Sure.
it can affect vulnerable people, can also be people that are not vulnerable, but that has got a very low probability of someone dying from it, someone that is not in the vulnerable category. But what really worried me is, you know, all the other things that are going around the world, the division, especially the division of people. It's very, it's been, I think that has been very intensified, because there was always division, you know,
Divisions.
you are from this party, I am from this party, or, you know, race, religion, men, woman. So
Gender.
now it feels that it's been more intensified. Actually, in the past few years, we had the Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter, religion as well, the Muslims against Jewish. So it's been insane. And this year again, you know, everything, actually this year it feels like everything came at the same time. And yes, so I was feeling quite worried. And also, I think many of us we deal in a spiritual world, that we are interested in a spiritual world. I think in our heart, and actually one of the reasons why we do this work, we work with other people, in our heart, I do think all of us, we have got something in common, is that we want to heal people, we want to help people to become the best of themselves, so that also contributes to the healing of the collective and the world. So I think in our hearts, we always have that feeling that at some point things going to get better, and we have that vision of the ideal world that we want to live in. And I think that's probably the realization of, okay, we are in 2020 and we're still having these issues. So that's quite shocking, at least for me, and I guess for a lot of us. Yeah.
Yes, no, totally. It's really shocking. It's really sad as well. Like with those times, all these things coming, we don't know what's right no more, what is wrong. So we have lots of people saying many things. We have the media really pushing us towards fear, not bringing up solutions. The media is a big key this year. On the side of things that we should actually look and find a new direction, because it's very important to keep people informed, but it's good to keep people actually informed and not, you know, create a Hollywood movie in their lives and manipulate that. You know, because what's happening?
Is a
And yeah,
that's that they do amplify things, whatever happens, they amplify and there is a lot of half truths as well, and that it just contributes even more to the sense of division, the sense of danger, that we are in a world that is danger, and that we have to uh, be careful of our neighbors. We have to be suspicious of others. That we have
Yeah,
to be afraid, because the world is out there to attack us and to get us somehow.
absolutely. And we, as hypnotherapists, we know exactly how deep it is,
That is a good point.
how
Mm,
manipulative this kind of message are, how much, confusion it's actually creating. It's really deep. This kind of information is
mm,
not there by a mistake, by a coincidence. It's not only for money. There is a big manipulation behind it.
mm. I mean, to be honest, I have stopped. I mean, I have not really never. I was never really a news fan. Never really watched that much TV. I don't actually have a TV at home.
Me neither.
Um, Normally, I get from the YouTube or internet. I get some of the
Yeah,
news, especially start, you know, paying a bit more attention since the pandemic started. But then after a while, I just realized, okay, this is just. It feels like a circus. It's not doing anyone any good. And I think as well, if another very important thing that I would like to tell people is to be aware of what they're consuming, because like you're saying, as hypnotherapists, we are aware. So that really does go into your subconscious mind. In a way, you absorbing everything that is said to you. Um, and it's so important, especially this time, for us to keep our energy, keep our keep vibrating on a positive energy, in love and kindness, and feeling happy and content, instead of fear and feeling afraid, um, and feeling anger as well. There is a lot of anger as well going on.
yes.
So I think it's very important to actually cultivate those positive feelings, because that can be not only helpful for your own well-being, but for the collective as well, because that we all feed off from each other. And also, I think in terms of our immune system, it really lowers down our immune system when we're feeling stressed and when we're feeling anxious. So cortisol is released. That's one of the things that happens when we are feeling anxious and stressed. The cortisol gets released from our brain. So this chemical gets released into our bloodstream, and that really affects our liver as well, and that diminishes our immune
Immunity.
system.
Yeah,
So something to be aware of as well.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Uh, it's an interesting point that you said that we as society, we create lots of segregations.
Mm.
I believe that inside of ourselves, we are also creating those segregations when we, just get involved in somebody's bad energy, angry energy, frustrated energy, fearful energy, or whatever, because as you said, we all influence each other. So a positive way of influencing the others, like really trying to keep your
Mm.
energy centered in your body, and try to do not be so emotional when somebody does something to you, or so sensitive in the sense like you know brings it to the ego. Like try to embrace things with the heart and soul, because we're all humans, we're all passing through a difficult situation. So it's really time to be empathetic, and try to be more reasonable with people,
Mm.
and understand what's their energy and what's our energy. So like that we can actually do something good, positive, and change all the situation for better. Yeah.
That's a really good point as well. I really like that example of, that within us, we also create a lot of separation. And it's good to sort of keep an eye and connect with our inner self and see how things are within our own home, our inner home.
Exactly.
Is there
Yes.
anything that you do, Bruna, that to help you to balance out those energies and balance out your inner self?
Yes, I practice meditations. I do qigong.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yoga whenever I can, and really I try no I'm really reconnecting to the moon cycles. So I'm understanding like at least the moon vibration, well, the planets, all the planets. I really like astrology, you know, and I try to understand the energies of the planets, to understand which kind of influence we're going to be dealing with. And also I'm working with the moon, doing some rituals. And I feel that getting connected with the moon energy makes me more connected to my own women energy and human energy as well. I say women because we are cyclical, just like the moon. And it's very interesting, like to observe like how our cycle works related to the moon and what certain moons talking about the phase, the period we're living. So I do all those things to really try to disconnect from all this mess and connect to, more spiritual things. Right now, last week, we just had last week, no, this week, we just had the new moon in Scorpio. Scorpio is a transformative sign or energy it brings. Like in the tarot cards, it's represented by the death card. So we know there's like transformations ahead. Also, it's time to face what is the ego, what is the soul, and what is the things that are not ourselves and have to be left behind. So we are all passing through a transformation according to the astrology or to the new moon. Like it was a super new moon that we had. And yes, it's really bringing lots of different energies, like raising consciousness to face the ego and actually change, be a better human, or
Wow.
being born into something
Well,
more human, like the phoenix rising.
do you know for how long does that Scorpio influence lasts for?
We're going to have these kind of these Scorpio energy until the 14th of December.
Okay.
When we start, like the next day, we start having the new moon, and that will be in Sagittarius. Yay, my sign.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
That must be good then. I like Sagittarius.
Yes, Sagittarius, while the Scorpio brings the transformations and stuff, like the phoenix rising, the Sagittarius energy is like the truth. So it's going to be a challenging moment. We're going to have some eclipses as well on December, and every time we have an eclipse, something in a few months takes place on the planet, and you will know where it's going to be most affected when you watch the eclipse and its movement. It passed through some countries. So this movement actually let us know that something is changing there.
Very
So people can
interesting.
check it. It
So
is.
I guess more change is coming underway, and I mean, I think that's. I think we can feel that in a way, isn't it? There's
We
a lot of
know.
things going on.
We know.
Yeah. And the funny thing, like not long ago, I was doing a meditation, and one of the things that I have asked was to just sort of a kind of an answer for what is it that's going on in the world right now, and if we're going to be okay. And my answer was actually quite clear. the answer I got was quite clear, and it was just saying, trust the process, trust the process. And I was like, okay. But it just came in such a clear way. And when I say
Mm-hmm.
clear, I mean by those words came into my mind, into my conscious mind, and the feeling of, okay, I trust it, and it felt really real. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that even those things that they feel quite negative, they are here with a purpose, and
Yes.
and I'm quite hopeful that things will be the end of it, the outcome of it will be a good outcome, and it will be favorable for the humanity.
Yeah. And Mother Earth especially, because humanity can go. Mother Earth will stay here no matter what.
That is a very good point. That is a very good point.
Yes, but I think it's a good message to finish. Like trust the
Mm,
process. It's absolutely that the what I feel as well.
mm, yeah.
That's why I feel quite excited this moment, because I was always a very sensitive person, so I felt many things. And to be honest, I grew up being a depressed person. I wouldn't show it up because there was no problem in my life. There was problems in my life, of course, but those were not the problems that were affecting me, but how the world were really like deep for me, like since I'm 11 years old, I write poems and very deep ones about life and death and society, things like that. So I feel that I came here to this planet for this moment we're passing now. And when you say trust the process, it's something that I know, that's it. Because the process is us. It's like this kind of new consciousness to humanity. That's the point. Breaking all those, what's called chains that were, slaving us into something. Like now, when we are seeing it, we're able to fight against it. And this time we cannot fight with violence no more because we're learning. And I think this is a beginning for a new kind of human too, where we are going to be more focused on walking together in the planet, focusing on the solutions for the planet, for humanity, for wherever. And I think just like this, we're going to be able to connect to the other planets and to the other realms.
That will be
And physically,
amazing. That will be
yeah, physically,
mm,
not
quite,
just like,
yes, I know what you mean. Quite exciting times ahead, I think. And just a few days ago, I was listening to Marianne Wilson. What do you say her name? Marianne Williamson. Marianne Williamson. I hope I'm saying her name right. I was listening to her podcast. She had a guest, Caroline Miss. And
okay,
Caroline Miss is an author and a leader within the spiritual industry. She has written many books, very interesting books, and she was saying that last century, which was the 20th century, was all about industrialization. We got the computers, we got all the factories done, computers and technologies. There was a lot of advancement in those areas. And just to say that 21st century, without a doubt, will be a spiritual focus century where people really reconnect again with themselves and reconnect again with the source, and therefore with each other as well. So living in a more collective
sustainable.
centric way instead of an individualistic way of
Yep.
just producing and just focusing in acquiring wealth and growing your wealth, this is going to be 21st will be then a more growing spiritually. So that
Yes.
was very interesting thing. And when what else she said, and when she said it, it really sounded true to me.
Oh,
It
that's sweet.
really resonated with me. And you can
Yeah.
see that. I mean, there has been a lot of increase of people looking for
Yeah.
things like mindfulness. Mindfulness, you know, now is being used in the workplace. Mindfulness, which is brought from the Buddhist philosophy. So there are quite interesting things. People going and looking more for things like yoga, again from India. Also, it's got quite strong spiritual roots as well. Yoga. I mean, among other things as well.
Yes.
So he's kind of becoming mainstream, isn't he? Holistic
Yes.
therapies as well.
Yes. Which is worry. No, I'm joking. Not this thing. I'm joking. No, that's true. Also, sustainability. If you look at the like how people were already like building the houses, saving energy, reusing old materials, creating their own generation of electricity, um, creating
Yeah.
their own sewage system. So I can't wait. Let's change. Let's change now.
It's true. Now that you say that, is a good point. There's been a lot of development as well in sustainability and people more focusing, finding sustainable ways of doing things. Also, companies as well, having a more social focus, goals and incorporating sustainability into their practice, into that supply chain. And be more social responsible.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Yes. Yes.
And that's really
So
interesting.
we see we're going to a new direction. That's great. Let's
And
embrace
yes,
that. Let's focus on that. And let's stop focusing on the media lies.
exactly. That is, I think that's one of the things we really need to do to be able to get out of the mess that we are, is to actually disconnect from social media. I mean, it doesn't need to be totally, but
I'm already disconnected from social media. I'm there, but I'm not really.
but I mean in a more neutral way, and that in a way that it doesn't let things affect you. Like you were saying before,
Definitely.
people have to be more empathetic and less sensitive, taking things too personal. And I'll say that in a way disconnecting or not being quite neutral. So Bruna, just to end, is there anything that you would like to suggest that you think that we all could do to help the current situation and to have the best outcome out of all of these mess that we are in now?
Yeah, well, there's too many things, but one thing that I think it's easy to do, and it makes a big difference, is for people to be more empathetic with themselves first, because we're not empathetic to ourselves, and then to the others. But like, of course, it's a two-side thing. But we need to be empathetic to ourselves, accept our mistakes, accept our limits in order to transmute, and then be empathetic to the others. Understand that sometimes people are just having a bad day and we don't have to get involved in somebody else's energy. Look after your energy, focus on wherever you have, and that's it. Like, help whoever you can help, somehow you can help, the way you can help, and that's it. That's how I think we can start doing this change, bringing solutions, talking more, being empathetic, creating little communities like me and Luz somehow, like virtually, or a
That
way of.
sounds lovely. Bruna, thank you so much for joining me today and for the chat. I'm actually feeling really good right now. I really enjoy our chat as always. And maybe also next time, I'm very curious as well about your practices with the moon. Because in the end of the day, you are also a high priestess. So I would love to read more about that side of your work. It sounds very interesting. And I'm sure that the listeners, they will also enjoy hearing about it. So maybe we can organize something and next time talk about it as well.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
So everyone, we have now arrived to the end of this conversation. If you liked what you have just watched and listened, please do leave us a like or even share with anyone that you think might enjoy and might benefit from listening to this. You can also subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to find out a bit more about the guest today, Bruna, you will find her details below. And you also can get in touch with either me or her for further information.
Thank you very much, Luz, for having me.
You.
Have a lovely day, and we can talk soon, yeah?
Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.